Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get them peepers? Let's get into this effing review.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today, the abysmal horror movie we're talking about today is Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Holy mama, I can't swear this early in the video, but while we have a lot to talk about when it comes to this movie, I want to say some other words real badly, but I can't do that until minute 30 in the video. Before we get into the non-spoiler and then the spoiler review, which will both be encompassed in this one video, don't worry if you don't care about the non-spoiler review, you can skip ahead. There'll be little chapters at the bottom of the screen. I gotcha, don't worry. I'm gonna need you guys to like this video and subscribe first, though. I would greatly appreciate that. So getting into a non-spoiler, there's really not much I can say because there's also not really much to spoil here. I remember being so excited hearing that a brand new director was taking charge of the Jeepers Creepers franchise. No more of the pedophilic butthole that was a part of this franchise from the start. Oh, we got a new guy and he's gonna do a great job. He's gonna be awesome. That's not what happened here. Jeepers Creepers Reborn is an objectively bad movie on all stances. It glorifies the past couple of movies. The characters are all over the place and have no idea what they're trying to accomplish as characters, which is not good. Like, Sidney Craven in the lead role, I think, is the only person that really understood that she was the final girl. All of the other characters have no fucking idea what they're doing. I hope this is a minute 30 at this point because fuck it, I don't care anymore. I will say though, as bad as this movie is, like every choice they decided to make, like even some of the casting choices we'll talk about a little later are like insane. Every choice is pretty fucking dumb. I gotta be honest. Like, Timo Varensola should not have directed this movie or any movies in general. The fact that he was in charge of this really shows in this movie. But I will say, it's kind of fun though. It's kind of fun to watch and it's kind of fun to rip apart. And that's unlike Jeepers Creepers 3, which is just a long, boring, and bad movie. The one edge I will give to this thing, which I hate giving this thing an edge because I really fucking hated this movie, it was a little fun to watch and I was not bored watching it. Getting into some spoilers because fuck it. Like I said, objectively a bad movie, but can we have fun with it? Yeah, surprisingly. The digital effects, the script, and the overall direction of the characters are fucking abysmal. A half-eaten Klondike bar could probably direct a movie better than Timo Varensola. I mean, I genuinely think these actors are confused on screen. They have no fucking idea what they're doing, and they have no idea what their characters are supposed to bring to the table. When it's so unbelievably obvious, they fall into very easy tropes from the horror genre. Like, you have this character named Stu. No, I'm not talking about Stu Macher, but he might come back for Scream 7. Fingers crossed, baby. We have Stu, who's basically introduced as like this creeper aficionado. He hunts the creeper, he's gonna do all of this. We learned that from the marketing before the film even came out. This guy has no fucking idea what to do when he actually gets into an encounter with the creeper. Like, literally no idea. He is completely useless. Chase, the boyfriend character, is all over the place. Sometimes he's this romantic, sometimes he's this klutz, and sometimes he's just completely useless. And he kind of turns into a side character by the third act, even though he was introduced as a main character from the get-go. I want to make this clear too, I'm not shitting on any of the actors here. I think these people might actually be pretty good actors. But it's the direction, and you can feel that so heavily. Timo, I'm sorry, dude, if you're watching this, but what the fuck, man? I usually don't like to lay into these movies so badly, but like, this is just utter fuck up. Like, I don't know how else to spin this. And I think the reason I'm laying into Timo Varensola so much is because he comes on before the movie even starts, and he's got his arms out like this. He's in front of this like fucking parking garage or something in the middle of nowhere, and he's talking. He's like, oh guys, everyone, my movie's so good. We all worked so hard on this. We worked through a pandemic, guys. We busted our asses on this movie. And then the first scene is completely useless and wastes horror legend Dee Wallace in an opening scene that literally recreates the opening to the original film. And once again, is kind of pointless to the entire story of the movie. Like, you can't come on screen before your movie that fucking wastes an amazing actress like that and then say something like that. Like, that is so embarrassing. The other thing about this movie is that the pacing is so uneven. It's almost like they were like coming up with the story as they went along because they set up some things from at the beginning that don't go anywhere. Like, they have this side character. I can't even remember his name. I think it was like Charlie or something, where Sidney Craven's Lane's character calls him up and is like, hey, hey, like, can't wait to meet you at the festival. This is gonna be great. And then he's like kind of walking around in the woods for some reason, like he's gotta pee, but also like, why wouldn't you just stop at a gas station? Why is everyone peeing in the woods in this movie? Do you guys don't stop at gas stations when you go on road trips? Like, what? He gets killed in the woods by the creeper. It's kind of like one of the first kills in the movie, whatever. But at least this scene wasn't in front of a green screen when it didn't have to be, because, you know, woods are fucking anywhere. You can go film that wherever the fuck you want. But let me tell you, that changes pretty quickly, because the second half of this movie is pretty much done in front of a green screen for no reason that I can figure out. There's this sequence that takes place in a cemetery, and it's all done in front of a green screen, including the ending shot, which is maybe the worst effects I've ever seen in a movie, and I've also seen the Spawn movie, let me tell you. The cemetery sequence and the entire end sequence with the cops looks like something out of like the Resident Evil 2 animation for the PS1. Like, it is so fucking bad. I can't believe this is a movie that came out this year. I also feel like they didn't cast the Harbinger character very well at like the Mystic Shop or whatever the fuck that they go to like early on in this film. She's playing way older than what the actress is, and I just don't love it. There's also this is kind of the setup for the creeper cults thing that doesn't really go anywhere, and it's kind of bizarre. Like, you have the character Lane having all these flashes to like this cult thing that happened, but they never really explain that. Like, was she ever like surrounded by this cult? Like, did that happen at some point? Like, did I just miss that, or what? Is that like a deleted scene? What the fuck's going on there? I do have a few positives about this movie, though. They are few and far between, but there are a few good things about this. I do really like all the horror festival stuff. I thought that was done pretty well. There's nice little homages to things that are talked about this franchise a lot. Like, you see a Tim Curry and Bill Skarsgård Pennywise. That's a character that is most often compared to the creeper. They're pretty similar entities. They feed for a certain cycle and then they disappear for a while, 20 some years for both of them. It's a little different. You also have a nice little throwaway line at the beginning from Sidney Craven's character, where she's kind of talking a little bit about how, like, oh, there's Nazis on the moon, and that's a reference to one of Timo's past films that also wasn't great. And I also want to praise the creeper actor this time around. It's no Jonathan Breck performance like how we saw especially in Jeepers Creepers 2, which is my favorite Jonathan Breck performance in my opinion. He's just a little more alive, I feel like, in that film opposed to the first one. The creeper doesn't talk, so like you have to accentuate with your face and like move, like he does the finger wag thing pretty well. He does that this guy does it pretty well, I gotta be honest. Even though the makeup's not great, like there's even one point where the guy's like wiping his face and you can see the rubber mask like fling back and forth like it's like a door stopper. It's kind of embarrassing, but the performance is there. The makeup effects, maybe not so much, but the performance, yeah, it's there. Honestly, congrats, bravo, dude. The ending is super bad though. Like, I thought like this entire movie was like, okay, this is pretty bad, but it's also not like the worst thing I've ever seen. The ending is so like cements this thing as one of the worst movies I've seen all year. One of the coolest scenes in the movie is Sidney Craven's character poking out the creeper's eyes and ripping them out, which is really fucking cool and something I never even thought about as to how to kill the creeper. It's like, yeah, blind him. He's got to replace those eyes with something if he can't see. Yeah, there you go. But she kind of ruins it with this one-liner, which may be the funniest thing I've heard in a movie all year, which was, how about them peepers, bitch? 10 out of 10. Morbius has nothing on Jeepers Creepers Reborn. This is amazing. 10 out of 10 movie, best horror film of the year. Take all of my money, Screen Media, my God. But then you have like Stu and Chase. They rip off the fucking whatever the fuck that thing is called on the top of a roof. I'm too angry to figure that out right now. They rip it off and they like throw it down with this awful effect right into the creeper. How the fuck did they coordinate that? What? That just happened off screen, I guess. Or maybe I missed it. Once again, I was kind of just laughing at there came a point in this movie where I had to turn my brain off because nothing made sense. And then the CGI cops from Resident Evil 2 show up and it doesn't look good. I mean, I filmed some stuff in a green screen in my basement that looked better than that. And as funny as all of this is, there's a kind of a serious thing I don't love about this movie. It's pretty distasteful that they would honor those past movies like they're this amazing thing when they were directed by a pedophile. This film should have been a massive clean break from that, started its own thing. I know a lot of people would have loved to have seen the Trish story continued, but I think the best outcome for this movie in particular was just to start a whole new fucking thing, like a brand new timeline, brand new characters, no honoring of the past movies, and that's the one sin that this movie commits that I just can't get over, and I just can't like it for that reason. I get a lot of people love these movies. I do too. They were a part of my childhood. When I see people shitting on them online and they're saying all these super negative things about it, I get it, because like it's, you know, this was directed by, I've said it enough times in this video. I understand that, but like I was 4 years old when I watched the second movie for the first time and it scared the fuck out of me, and I loved that. It was like an experience I had never had before in my life. That was fucking awesome. And I'm someone who believes in separating the art from the artist. Like, because that's so nostalgic, it's so part of my childhood, I was so excited for this film that finally continues that and gives us an answer to what that cliffhanger is, what's gonna happen next after that awesome cliffhanger from 2. This movie sort of answers that, but also kind of not really. That makes me sad, but what makes me more sad is the fact that they're glorifying those past films. I just wish that this was so much more of a clean break, a brand new thing with the same character, because it is a cool idea, just make it a little less, you know, separate it from all that other bad shit. I genuinely do think there could be a future for Jeepers Creepers, but in the right hands. Those hands are not Timo Variansolas. I would give Jeepers Creepers Reborn a 2 out of 10 because, like I said, there is still some fun things about this movie. It's not like Jeepers Creepers 3 where it's just a boring, long movie that over-explains fucking everything. This is a movie that, yes, over-explains everything for no fucking reason, but at least it's kind of fun at some points. I was never bored watching this movie, which is something I've talked about bad movies in the past. That really saves a bunch of bad movies. So I will give it that, but it's a little distasteful, and it's a little just like, I can't believe this happened. Actually, it's a lot like that. Like, I can't believe that got released in movie theaters. What did you guys think about Jeepers Creepers Reborn, though? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Just so you guys know, by the way, I will be ranking all 4 of the Jeepers Creepers movies later on today, so make sure to check out that video as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this brand new review of Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. If you want to support this channel further, you can support me on Patreon or become a channel member by clicking that join button on my page. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.